Hey everybody, welcome to a full tutorial here at Making It Fun. I'm your host, Rob Appell from Michael Miller Fabrics, and this is a very special, dear to my heart tutorial. We are going to make rare bears. And rare bears are these fantastic little teddy bears that we actually make and we gift to children who are working through rare diseases. And the beautiful thing about this is the bear becomes the liaison that helps the doctors, the researchers, and the families all come together to work with these children and try to come up with cures for these rare diseases. So follow me along in this tutorial. You're going to love it. We've got all the links you're going to need to get your supplies to make your very own rare bear. Let's get started. Okay, now we're on the business side of the table with my little buddy the bear here, and we're going to dive right into the project. We've got several steps. They're very simple, but I would like to show you each and every one kind of following the instructions. So like I said, down in this description below, I've got the links that you need to Rare Science, and they'll get you set up with the Simplicity pattern like this that is built specifically for the rare bear. They'll also go ahead and send you a couple of these beautiful little rare bear feet. Now, sometimes they're going to come ovals, sometimes they're going to come squares. Either way, you'll have just enough to make the pads or the feet on your bear there. And then you're also going to have this really cool tag, the rare bear tag. And on the other side of that, there is the unique item number. And that item number on the bear allows us to track the bear to the family and with the researchers and the doctors and all of that as the bear and the child go through their life experiences. And the bear certainly makes it a bit easier on the families. We've sent out several, gosh, I want to say 1,000 at this point, and the feedback and response from the family has been incredible. So as you're diving into making your rare bear with me today, please know that your work, oh gosh, it's just incredible what you're doing here today. So again, thank you. And like I said, we've got a lot to do, so let's get started. Of course, using my fantastic Michael Miller fabrics, and funny enough, a lot of these same fabrics are right behind me, but I'm doing all gray today for my bear. I've got cotton couture, I've got some marble, and I love the hash dot, which is a polka dot on a hash background. You can see it right here on his belly, and it looks terrific. Now, I've already cut out all of my pattern pieces, and it was so easy to do. I was cutting out stacks and stacks of them, so you can make many of these as you go, but you will need a tag and feet for every bear that you do make. So I made this little guy last night as my example while I got ready for today's video. I have the pieces right here on the wall, and we're just going to go in order, and we're going to start with our little ears. Now, at this moment, you better hang out over here with Mike. Those two will behave themselves over there while we get deep into this tutorial. We are starting with the ears. Here's an example of one of the finished ears already right sides back out and stuffed. I've got the marble on the exterior, the hash dot for the interior, stitched together with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm going to recommend polyester thread for this project because we want longevity, we want strength in our construction. Right sides together, 1/4 inch seam allowance, and after I finished stitching it, I went through with my little scissors and I basically, what we call clipping the curves. I've come in here and I've clipped and clipped and clipped up near the thread, but not at the thread. I don't want to cut those threads. And if you're new to sewing, that's going to allow, as we turn this back to right sides out, that's going to allow that curve to travel nicely and not bind up. Let's hit this with our iron. Now, we would like you to send your rare bears in completely unstuffed. I know my example is stuffed, and I know I'm talking about stuffing right now. This is the only stuffing we want you to do. We would like you to send in just the bear skins because the cool thing is we stuff the skins at big quilt shows, at big quilt expos. I've got a story at the end of the video I'd love to tell you about that. And so we use this as a liaison to get people at the shows to see the bears, and we ask folks to help us stuff the bears, and they get involved and they get interested, and a lot of times folks will sign up and join what we call the Rare Bear Army at that point. So we want you to send in your bears completely unstuffed, ready to be stuffed, with the exception of the ears. The ears we need to stuff before we install them. So I'm going to take a little handful of stuffing and I'm going to put it inside of my ear. Inside of the fabric here. If I put it here, I won't be able to hear it through the rest of the video. And now I'm going to come over to the machine, and I just said I was using 1/4 inch seam allowances, but I'm going to baste. So while I'm basting this closed, it's just to keep that fuzz in place, I'm going to stitch just right on the very edge. And I might not even be catching all of the back of that. It's just to hold it securely for a moment. mostly keeping the fuzz in place. Okay, so you can see I've just gotten that one nice there. So we're gonna set both stuffed ears aside for a moment, and we're gonna move into building the rest of the head. The head consists of 5 pieces, 3 for the front, 2 for the back, and I've already taken the first 2 side front faces and I've stitched them right here along where the nose piece would be. So that's the first step, right sides together. We're gonna stitch, and I believe I've already, yes I have, I've already clipped these edges, so that will roll open like this. And again, a good idea to take a moment and just massage your seam, make sure it's nice. I recommend hitting it with an iron if you have a moment. And then once that front side pieces have come together at the nose piece, we're going to actually put down the front face and the nose itself. Of all of your Rare Bear parts, they're all done in multiples except for this one piece. You can see even when I was cutting these out, I was actually cutting most of them with the 28mm rotary cutter. The 28 because it's larger and it handles lots and lots of layers. Now many of you know I invented this really cool little 14mm rotary cutter. I did use it to cut just the single layers because I love it, but anytime you're cutting a lot of layers freestyle, I'm going to recommend actually the 28 over the 14 because every tool's got its job. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take this center nose piece and we're going to install it all the way through here. One of the things I like to do is give myself a little bit of a fold. This is just a marker for me, so I know if I'm on track when I come around this front spot. If you ever find yourself a little spatially challenged with how that works, it's going to finish here. So what I do is I put it right sides out and then I fold it over on some of these interesting angles. And again, I want to go ahead and keep that piece down. And the reason I want to keep that piece down on the feed dogs is I want to be able to control the way the rest of the face folds around. I'm going to back stitch to lock that in. And I'm actually not putting any pressure on the top fabric because it's the longer piece. And I'm putting a good amount of pressure. I'm holding, kind of tugging down here on this bottom fabric to make sure that I have what I need as I come around the corner. You can see I'm lining right up into that beginning, that center seam. And then as I do this, I will take a couple of moments every few stitches as I approach the corner. Lift the presser foot, adjust the fabrics. Lift the presser foot, adjust the fabrics. You can just feel it feed right through there, so nice and easy. Make sure you don't have anything folded in there. And then just follow that nice gradual curve all the way back up. Don't forget to back stitch at the end of all of our seams today. We're going to be putting a good amount of wear and tear on these as we go through. Oops. Now before I fold this open, always a good idea, come back in here. We're going to snip at least the tight curve. That way our wonderful little face comes around just like that. Let's just get these ears basted into place so they're out of our way and we don't forget about it later. So I'm going to take the facing side, the front of the head, and I'm going to set the ears face out the way I want them. I'm eyeballing them. I want roughly about 3/4 to 1 inch over the seam on the, I guess I'm going to say the inside of the ear like this. I know where it belongs. So now I'm going to fold it over just so nicely, and I'm going to come right back in and I'm going to baste this ear into place. Again, right along that edge, we're just securing it. We don't want it to get into our seam allowance for later. We don't want those threads to show. So just a little security. Of course, you could have used a straight pin if you were more comfortable that way. I'm going to put the other ear in, same exact way, same exact position. And now that my ears are basted into place, we can get ready to build out the back of the head. The back of the head pieces look all but identical, and I have this terrible habit of cutting all the markings off of my pattern pieces. I shouldn't even say that in videos. So keep your pattern pieces with you as you're working. This one, we're going to go ahead and mount the center seam of the back of the head together. I've done that for us already. You probably can't see it, but it's stitched along here, and then I have snipped those edges, so it is ready to go also. And now that we have that, there's this little curved area up here. That is the neck. There's also the curved area down here at the bottom of the head. So we're going to match up those curved areas, right sides together, like this. I'm going to just match point to point, and I'm going to come right over to my machine. Back stitching. And I'm just going to let the machine do the work as I continue around that curve. And then just continuing on to that other corner. Once those are finished, and you know you can't resist it, so you might as well just do it, turn your little bear right sides out. And your face can actually stay that way for the rest of the project. Now let's talk quickly about details. My good friend Mike here has encouraged me to omit the eyes and the nose. I can't even figure out why. However, I will point out there's a fun little nose piece. There are not eye pieces included. These will be for children, often small children. We are not going to sew any buttons on these, please. I'm going to ask you if you use the nose piece to secure it, turn the edge under and hand stitch it on or use embroidery floss. If you'd like to do the eyes, same thing, embroidery floss. We want to prevent any choking hazards and any embellishments that we're going to add to our rare bears. At the end, we're going to talk about the wonderful pattern from Sheridan Design with all the accessories and all that kind of stuff. We're getting there. We're getting to accessories. But when it comes to the eyes and nose, Mike and I think simpler is better. No choking hazards this way. So your head is technically finished in my opinion. Add a nose if you care to. I won't fight you on that one. And we're ready to start to move into the body pieces. Watch the body front. It's got kind of an odd shape, kind of like me. Anyway, it's kind of an odd shape to it as it comes around. We're going to stitch one side and clip it, and we're going to set it aside like this. So that's the body of the bear, the beginning of the bear, the front. Next thing we go on to is our legs. I've already finished the other one we need for this bear. So I've done 3 if you're counting the other bear back there. We're going to install our little feet there. We're going to put 2 different fabrics together. It's really, really fun and easy to do. Let's talk about the basics of the feet. Now, first of all, as you come down, I want you to stitch this entire side, the shin and the toe and the paw, I guess. I want you to stitch all of that complete. We're going to leave an opening back here for stuffing later on. Well, you won't be stuffing it, remember? You'll be sending it in for stuffing. So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to sew from the top down, and watch this trick. I'm going to come down about 2 or 3 inches, and I'm going to back stitch a couple times. I'm going to cut my thread. I'm going to jump down about another 2 or 3 inches. Let's say 2 inches. We don't want it too big of a hole. Back stitching twice, and that's because we're going to be putting a lot of pressure on that seam. Now, another trick I have learned in making lots, and I have literally made over a dozen of these bears. The feet this time came to me already pre-cut in the oval shape. I've also received them in the past in rectangle shapes. Either way, you have just enough to make it work. One of the tricks I have found over time is you can make a little larger seam allowances in these areas to shorten this hole, and I'm not going to take a full 1/4 inch on the pad, and it gives me just enough. The other thing I like to do is I'm going to fold it like I did earlier so I have markers so I know where the middle points are. This just helps me know if I'm staying on target. When you look at this design, I would like this little finger shape or the R of the rare bear to go to the heel of the bear. So when I set that in there, I'm going to go right sides together. That's the heel. I'm going to mark those, and I'm going to come in. And because I like to start with my pad or the printed fabric down there on the feed dogs. Oops, I said that backwards. I'm so sorry. I want to sew with the pad so I can see it, so I can cheat on my seam allowance. Here you see what I'm referring to. So I've got my fabric down, I've got the pad fabric against the sewing foot, and I'm going to cheat. There's my 1/4 inch. There's about less than a 1/4 inch. I am now not putting any pressure on the gray fabric, and I'm actually pulling on the white fabric, giving myself as much extra fabric as I possibly can of the white, just to make sure I have enough to get all the way around this curve. I'm happy because I just hit my folded spot. Makes life so much easier when I know I'm making it there. And again, just pulling, pulling, pulling on the white. I shouldn't over-exaggerate. I'm not really pulling that hard. Just manually allowing it to groove through there. Then I like to fold over my little seam allowance so it doesn't get in the way so much as it comes through. So I'm kind of tucking and pinching there. All the way back to where we started. Back stitch. Make sure I didn't catch anything I didn't want. Perfect. And at this point, we can turn the legs to right side out because they'll stay there for the rest of the bear construction. Please check to make sure you actually got all of the seam you needed as you went around there. We don't want any feet falling off down the road. And with that said, I'm also going to take another moment and hit these with the iron because on my first bear, I accidentally put the legs in sideways. At this moment, you see I'm going to press your legs like this so the seams are on the front of the shin. So now you'll have them oriented just as you need. And let's just set those aside as well. We'll come back to those in a minute. We've got the front done, we've got the legs done, we've got the head done. So now we're going to be on to the bear's back. We are literally all but finished with the pieces of this. This is going very smoothly. I hope you're enjoying yourselves. For the bear backing, we have one of these little darts. This is what it's going to look like as it's finished. I'm going to stitch that together. Probably moved it too much. Now you're dizzy and need some Dramamine. Sorry. So all we're going to do, we're going to take this piece. I like to fold it to line up, looking at the outside edge of the bear as well as this line. I'm going to come over here to my 1/4 inch seam allowance, and I'm going to literally sew by back stitching here, keeping that edge guide right along that edge, and I just go all the way out the end, just like that. Let's back up a little to back stitch just so it doesn't come loose. That is set and that is secured. And then as we get ready to build the bear, we're going to go ahead and connect these two seams. We're going to connect the seam opposite from the darts we just made, and we're also now going to install the tag. The instructions that come from Simplicity ask us to leave the back open for stuffing, but because we want our tag in place, this is one of the Rare Science pattern changes, and all of this information is best seen on the Rare Science PDF on their website. Of course, link is right here down below for you. However, we want to leave a hole on the side of our bear for stuffing later. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is prepare to get my wonderful tag in. So I'm going right sides together first on my back of my bear. I want the word rare up at the top, and so I'm going to go ahead and slide that in like yay. And I like to give myself even a little bit more than the 1/4 inch on this piece. It's a printed ribbon, and once I stitched it a little close and it came out in the process. And so you can see I'm cheating it out there a little bit just to make sure I really have it secured nicely. I'm starting at the top of the bear's back. Stitching, stitching, stitching. And then also back stitching at the beginning of the tag. Back stitching at the end of the tag. Then just following that curve all the way through. Let's take a moment, clean up any threads you've left behind, and we're going to snip at least the curve portion. Once that back is done, we're ready to get the legs and the front together, and I guess we could have done this technically in opposite order. We can also baste our legs to the body of the front like we did the ears. So again, I want these legs to stay into my bear just like this. They're gonna come, oh, let's say, because I've cut my little tags off, about a half of an inch over from that center seam. So I'm gonna set them up here so that the shadowed portion of the leg is near that center seam. And we're just going to baste these on, so that's that real narrow stitching. Once both legs have been basted into place, right sides together, and you've double checked to make sure you have them in the shading and the orientation you want, we're just going to go ahead and take our bear's back, set it against the base, right sides together. You'll put the arms and the head in later. I didn't forget something. I checked again last night when I got back to it. We're going to start up here at the corners. Just slowly make your way around. Only thing you have to think about is when you get down to where those legs were connected, you just want to make sure that everything is accounted for and that you don't expose the basting threads. Of course, they could be taken out at that point if necessary. Here I go over one of them. And the second. Now, once you have your body together, you can turn it right sides back out and check it, but we're going to need to turn it back to right sides in before we put the head in. But we need to secure the arms, we need to make the arms. So there's a couple of things, do it in the order you prefer. This is what I've done. I went ahead and wanted to use the darker cotton couture for the underarm. And again, I've already made one of these for us, including, let me just show you, this is that opening at the back that we'll need to leave here for filling. So I have my right sides together. We're going to leave this opening right here. And so as I do that, I'm just coming to the machine. We're going to stitch down, under, and back around this curve. And once it starts to curve, I just put a little bit of pressure, kind of letting it twist through here, making sure I can see both colors of fabric. And then after I come out of that curve, I'm going to start to approach the flat side. Once I'm in that flat side, I'm going to stop, back stitch, leave a couple of inches. You want 2 inches to get your fingers in, but any bigger than that becomes a pain to sew closed, if you know what I'm saying. So 2 inches is perfect for that, please. And then once we have our arms then done, we're going to want to go ahead and just kind of quick clip the curves. Ew, that's a lot of words. In there. And again, just the curved part is all that was necessary. I'm going to turn this right sides back out. Perfect. Now, for that, I know that the light side is the front of the bear. So as I drop these in, the dark side of the arm is going to be stitched to the body of the bear. I'm correct, double checked. So the hand is going to go forward, so this is going to go on the left side. I'm going to drop it right in, paw facing forward. It's a little tight in here, and I'm just splitting the difference over the seam. So half of the arm is on the back seam, half of the arm is on the front body, I should say. Nice basting right along. Let's do the next arm. Paw forward, dark gray cotton couture against, it's actually called slate if I remember correctly, up against bear body, splitting the difference over the seam, basting it into place. Secured enough to hold just like we like. Double checking to make sure my arms are exactly where I want them, because we are now going to make our final seam. Are you ready for this? It's going to be great. Oh, I just realized, and I might as well not edit this out of the video, I got so excited when sewing around the bear I forgot to leave an opening in the bear to stuff, and I won't say that's my first time either. So good thing I have this handy seam ripper. I'm going to go ahead real quickly, and I'm going to find a good notch, good open space, and I'm just going to pop a few stitches out. In both directions. About 3 inches for this opening. Here, 3 fingers, okay? But what I should definitely do now, let's just use this as a learning lesson, I need to go back and secure these threads. I really don't want them unraveling or opening up as we're stuffing the bears. So I'm going to go ahead about an inch above where I started. I'm going to lock it in, come down to where I just cut the seam, and lock it in again. I'm going to cut that thread. I'm going to go all the way down. I'm going to do several back stitches right here because that's the one that really is open. Down a ways, back stitch again. That will secure it forever. And now we are right back where we're going, because we're going to be able to pull the entire body of the bear out that hole. And that's why I just remembered. I did the exact same thing last night. I got so excited coming around the bear, I forgot to leave the opening. So remember, that is the new addition to the new PDF from Rare Science, Rare Bear Army. We're putting the tag completely in the back. We're leaving the side open, and obviously I'm still picking up on the new tricks too. Thanks for laughing with me, because I know you are. Okay, here we go. The light body of the bear is the front. The nose on the head, well, that's the front. So take it, rotate it upside down, and just drop it right in. Things are going to get weird. Things are going to get scary. You're going to lose track of where you're at. So all you have to do is find the back fabric and the backing fabric to the body and line up that center seam. Let's start there. And there's a lot going on with all these little corners and peaks and points and stuff. So you can take even a little bit greater than a 1/4 inch seam allowance if you would like. I'm going to take a couple stitches to secure it. And then what I'm really doing is I'm looking at all of these layers in here to make sure, and I know it's probably pretty hard for you all to see, but I'm just making sure everything is nice, and I'll be able to use each side seam, center seam as I go around to line up the head of the bear with the body of the bear in the neck hole as I go. Just go about an inch or so at a time and readjust by rotating the body and organizing your fabrics in your fingers. And just work your way around. Nice and easy. But we definitely want to make sure we catch all of our layers of fabric here, because we don't want anybody or any fuzzy or anything coming out of these holes. And we're right back to where we started, so I'm going to back stitch to secure. I've gotten in this habit as well. I come back around and I'm looking at the outside thread to make sure I got all the way around. It certainly looks like I did, so it's time for our big reveal. Reach your fingers in that side seam you should have made earlier, you might have just made a moment ago. Grab your bear by the ears or the nose or whatever, and as you start to pull it out that side seam, just be careful, because the legs are going to want to pop through, the arms are going to want to pop through, just one little part at a time. And there we have our fantastic little Rare Bear with all the parts and pieces, including the arms in the right location. A couple quick things I want to talk about before we talk about the accessory pattern, of course. One is you've got holes in the back of both arms that we will take care of in stuffing at the Rare Bear parties, of course. You should also have holes in the back of the legs, and then that one hole in the side seam. You want to make sure you have your tag right there on the back of your bear, and if you've done any facial embellishments, they're completely secured fantastically that way. Now, have I got a story for you? So one of the very first videos I was able to do for making it fun, I'd shot up at the Sew Expo in Puyallup, Washington, and it was really fun because as soon as I walked into the expo, I went to go visit the folks at Rare Bear. It's one of the things I love to do, obviously. And I got there and they said, "Have you seen the folks at Sheridan Art and Design?" And I said, "No, what are you talking about?" So I went over and I met this super cool family, a mom, her son, her daughter, working together, and they have really gotten involved in the Rare Bear Army as well. And they've created this fantastic pattern so you can make hero bears and or character bears by adding great accessories, uniforms, capes, shields, masks, all kinds of great accessories in this pattern. Hopefully you can find it at any of the local quilt shops. Of course, I'll put Sheridan Art Design's link down at the bottom of the video as well. Send them some love, send them support. Really, really fun what they're doing to allow you to take your Rare Bear to the next level. Remember, we have boys and girls alike that have rare diseases, and all of them get a bear. One of the things that's really fun, especially in the little boys, is to create these character-based bears, meaning finding fabric that have characters in them, or that you can choose fabrics that look like some of those characters, maybe some of those superheroes that are out there that are so popular right now, some of these fantastic, iconic characters that these children just absolutely love, and it just takes their bear to a whole new place. So again, hats off to Sheridan Art and Design for coming up with a fabulous pattern that has all kinds of really, really fun accessories in there. I played with them a bunch at the Sew Expo and just had a blast. So I really actually wanted to do this video today to bring you some of the new updates on where to place the tags in the Rare Bear and some of these other features, but I really wanted to talk about and support Sheridan Art Design because I thought they were doing such fantastic stuff with the Rare Bear. And of course, remind all of you longtime fans and family out there how important the Rare Bear Army is. And even if you've made a Rare Bear before, we would love it if you could make another Rare Bear. If you've never made a Rare Bear, please follow these links below. Email, contact the Rare Bear Army. They will get you all set up with the pattern from Simplicity, the feet, the tags, everything you need to know to create your bear skin. Once you've finished it, again, reminder, leave it unstuffed, put it in the package and mail it off to back into the Rare Science group, and maybe one of these days I will be at a quilt show stuffing your bear. How cool would that be, right? And if not, maybe you'll get to come to a show, and I've seen this a lot of times, and stuff your own bear and share your love of sewing and textiles and what you're doing to help others feel great as well. Boy, that's a lot of great stuff. Hey, I'm going to sign off. I want to wish you all a fantastic rest of whatever you're doing today, tonight, tomorrow. Make us a Rare Bear. We'll see you soon right here at Making It Fun. I'm glad to see you're still there. Hey, if you insist on spending all day on YouTube, great with me. Please check out a few of my other videos. I think they're fantastic. Hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to be notified. We'll see you next time for another helping of fun.